Once I was severely sleep deprived. It had been a case of sleep deprivation that hit me harder than any I could remember. And during this instance, it felt as if I hated everyone. People who strayed the tiniest bit from perfection made me want to cuss them out. I delved within myself, though. I interrogated myself, and it became clear to me that I didn't hate them at all. My brain was simply radiating this kind of negative feeling, and I was thus interpreting my reality through this lens. If I were to give personification to the feeling, it'd say, why aren't we sleeping? Why is everyone stopping us from sleeping? And another example of this is being hangry. Your hunger reaches a certain red zone, and now attitude begins to encompass your entire being. When love encompasses your entire being, it's a hard train to stop. It's chosen its target, and if that target plays along, then love will probably continue to exist. But this isn't what people think of love. Our feelings towards love are more respectful than this. We tend to believe love is always pure, that if we feel it, we must feel it for a good reason. Again, when we feel love, we tend to believe we always feel it for a good reason, similar to hate. When we feel hate, we tend to believe we feel hate for a good reason. I hate those group of people. I hate that person, and you feel justified. I don't believe feeling strong love means your love is necessarily accurate. You can feel the most grand kind of love for someone, and you can be very incorrect in thinking it is reciprocated. I've been there once. I loved someone, but the girl clearly didn't love me. What she did, though, is that she fed off my love. Because feeling loved, it's a nice thing. And she made it clear that she didn't love me. And I made it clear that I did love her. And yet, we still talked. We still hung out. I just hoped at some point that the love I had would catch on. It was so unhealthy, and it makes me stressed out just thinking about it. And I look back to those days and I wonder what the hell was going on. Why did I feel as though I loved someone that clearly didn't love me back? Well, for one, when you're in love mode, any amount of positive attention is perceived as verification. If she didn't love me, she wouldn't invest so much time into me. Two, the challenge can make it all seem so much more dramatically important than it really is. I'm irrational as fuck, and I was especially irrational at this time. So the conflict that arose from my loving her and her not loving me made it seem as though something was there. There was theater involved, thus excitement, thus, this is our story. Third, basic attraction can fuck things up. I'd say one of the main reasons people presume they're in love is because they have an intense physical attraction to the other person. This factor by itself can generate what feels to be love. What's going on here is this. Many of us have very low standards when it comes to love. If you're beautiful or very handsome, I love you. If you're giving me significant amounts of positive attention on top of this, I really love you. But what about the reciprocation? What about the shared feelings? The Marcus that I am now can't imagine ever loving someone that doesn't love me back in an equal kind of way. Not in the exact same way, but the love must be as apparent as mine. This is a standard. And when we don't have such standards, we're liable to love anyone who lights up our instincts. And our instincts in the love department suck. Because we think they're leading us to a movie-like ending, but it's really more of a short-sighted acquisition. One where luck may grant you that fairy tale ending, but in many cases it doesn't. So how do I know then that I feel the right kind of love? The accurate kind of love, as I put it. To me, the true love we all wish we had is a combination of the platonic and the romantic. Usually, we're first attracted to the physicality of somebody. This is often the foundation. Then, we just hope they also titillate standards outside of the physical. We hope they're kind and funny and compassionate and understanding, hardworking, all that good stuff. Ultimately, we hope that we match to such a degree that we're essentially best friends who happen to be sexually attracted to each other. But even this is tricky, because outside of the physical is all kinds of social complexity. You may love a handsome guy who's kind, but he doesn't talk about his feelings. And talking about feelings can be the maker or breaker towards the integrity of a relationship. You may love a beautiful woman who's awesome, but she's very materialistic. This can cause enough of a financial strain and overall superficial stress that those other positive traits don't matter anymore. But you love them. And if you love them, then these things will work themselves out, right? I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. If you think that being in love will solve these kinds of issues, then I would say you're a victim of the caricature of love that we see and hear in music and film and basically even in real life. A lot of couples are really good at making it seem as though their relationship is all butterflies and rainbows. We're good actors. But there's more to love than love, and we know this. For example, we know that to be understanding is synonymous with being loving. But we don't tend to think in these terms. We don't focus on being understanding nearly as much as being loving. This, despite agreeing that understandingness is a part of love. We are obsessed with the generalized supposition of love. When we get specific and detailed, we recoil because now we're on a Dr. Phil episode. We want the sugary, we want the sweet, but a nice cup of bitter green tea can also be good for the soul. Just like an uncomfortable conversation can lead to a more nourished bond between the two. I digress. All that is cautionary. But because the question here is, if there's no deception going on, if it's all normal and healthy, if you started out with both of you investing equally in the other, and you've been on multiple dates and such, how do you know when you're in love? And this is my answer. When their existence becomes extremely important to you, when they've jumped to the top of the priority list, when their overall well-being is of great concern to you, when that person simply has to be a part of your everyday life, and also for me, when you have sex with that person, you still want to be in the same bed as them, that's how you know that you're in love. But most importantly, I feel, when that person loves you back. Because to say that you're in love is to suggest desired action. You want to pursue further. If the feeling isn't mutual, you're setting yourself up for disaster. If you apply just a modicum of skepticism, I think you'll be all right. Don't presume your love is pure merely because love is somehow intrinsically pure. And even if it was, let's say, we as humans are not. We have all kinds of motives and wants and desires and wishful thinking and blind spots that cloud our perception and judgment. So take your love to task. If it survives a reasonable interrogation, then love on.